Today's video, I'm making a luxury dollhouse for my daughter. This dollhouse is going to be the standard 1/12 scale, which means everything that goes into this dollhouse, beds, tables, chairs, is 1/12 of the size of an actual bed, table, or chair. I'm going to build the dollhouse from scratch, and then we're going to create some really cool things with our laser engraver and 3D printer that take it to the next level. So to start this dollhouse, you always have to start with breaking down material. And for me, that means ripping 1/2-inch plywood. I should take my walls and draw the doors and windows on before nailing them together and cut it out. But I want to see what the house looks like before I design the room, so I'm going to put it together. So I ripped this plywood at 16 inches deep because that's the depth that I want the house to be. And the plan is for it to be about 25 inches tall, not accounting for the roof. I start by stapling all of my parts and pieces together, making sure to leave a little bit of room because I want to have a patio on the outside of the house. So when you see the design, you'll see that come into play. After that, I cut this 7.5-inch spacer, and I just use that to make sure that each one of my floors are exactly the same distance apart. Oh yeah, we're building a mansion here, 4 stories, if you include this little portion of attic that I'm adding right here. All right, so here's where we're at. You got living room, kitchen, upstairs in the middle, bathroom, bedroom, undetermined and undetermined yet right now. This will be a patio, and then I'll have a balcony here. So all of these are not in yet. We're just determining that right now. So I wanted to add some dimension to the house. And over here, this is kind of like an entryway slash mudroom. I made this quick little template for all of the door openings. I wanted every single one of them to be identical and symmetrical and be to that 1/12 scale. On that top balcony of the master bedroom, I wanted to make it a little bit more special. So I'm gonna cut out a double door there and possibly add sliding glass doors there. While I was there, I used my jig to make windows as well. I just made them the exact same width and half of the height of the door jig. At this point, I went ahead and laid on an exterior coat of pinkish or peaches color, just honestly so that I could feel like I was making some progress. I also blacked out the roof, knowing that in the future I'm gonna lay down shingles, and I wanna make sure that if there is any plywood showing through, that it's just black and not that white plywood color. Okay, now I'm gonna take all of the load-bearing walls inside of the house over to my bandsaw, cut out the doors before I secure them in the house. I'm gonna cut this space out, and it's gonna look like the standard opening from a living room transition to a staircase. Now it is time for our commitment phase. I've cut all of my room dividers with doors in them or archways, and I've measured the spaces that I like, and now it's just time to tack everything in. When it came to my window and door cutouts, I used my jigsaw to punch that first hole out, and then I came back in with my fancy dovetail saw to get my lines all straight and clean. After that, to clean up the last of the debris, I used my coping saw to make sure everything was nice and square. Stairs was probably gonna take too much time, so my wife bought these for freaking $9 from Hobby Lobby. Cutting it back for this dollhouse was a little unique because of the roof shape, so I just laid it up against the dollhouse and traced it out instead of trying to measure. For roof slats, I just took some scrap poplar, sliced it down very thin, and laid it down on the roof. And I think it turned out great. Instead of cutting individual planks for the wood flooring in the living room and the kitchen, I used my laser to engrave on this 1/8-inch piece of walnut that I have wood planks that make it look like this is a consistent floor throughout the house. After I had my flooring in, I was actually very proud of myself with these transition strips. It's just a thin piece of walnut that I cut to be perfectly fit for the space, and I really like the way it looks. It makes me feel like a professional. Just lay this right here. Done. After doing the roof, I had some of these leftover slats, and I made some board and batten for the outside of the house because it looked a little flat and I wanted to give it a little bit of a depth to it. All right, here we are 4 days before Christmas, and it is, I don't know, 60% finished. I'm kind of scared, but we're gonna get it done. Instead of painting on a lot of these walls, we got some fancy cardstock that made for a really nice wallpaper to give accent walls in a lot of the rooms. If I would have done this by myself, it would have been super lame, but my wife makes everything better. You're watching a master at work. Hey Samantha, what day is it?
December 24th.
At what time?
I don't even know what time it is.
8:06. December 24th. And this is what it looks like. We'll be up till 5 in the morning, but this is getting done. Santa's work is never done, all right? Oh yeah, big window happening here. Speaking of big, look at that rock on that finger. Man, I did good. Even though I was gonna leave the rest of the dollhouse plain plywood grain on the front face, I didn't really like the way the shingles looked on the roof, so I cut a little fascia board to make it look nice and trimmed up. Well, it's 1 in the morning, so technically it's Christmas Day. I'm basically done. I'm leaving a lot open for interpretation because Colby is very picky, and I want her to be able to put her input into this dollhouse too. So some of the rooms don't have any furniture or any style to them, but I'm gonna let her do that. This is like one of those extreme home makeover TV shows. We're not gonna show you every little detail until the grand reveal because we don't want to ruin the surprise.
We spent lots of time making this.
You ready? Set.
You like it?
After the big reveal, Colby immediately gave us her list of demands.
And then I need another table, 4 tables. And 5 for this kitchen and for their bedrooms.
I took her and her Christmas money to Hobby Lobby and bought a bunch of really cool stuff to add to this dollhouse. When it came to cabinets, we used a laser engraver to cut out these small little boxes for us. And my wife made this fancy countertop and custom farmhouse sink that made it look like the people living in this dollhouse had money to spare. Ooh, baby, look at these. I'm gonna build a top for these and make a legitimate kitchen table. Miniature size. This is gonna be the tiniest walnut kitchen table ever made. My 3D printer worked overtime for the back end of this project. I made everything from slides and merry-go-rounds to bathroom vanities to benches and modern coffee tables. All right, I think this is my favorite 3D print so far. It's a fridge. I even made some tiny picture frames and I put a little sliver of paper in there so Colby could design for herself anything she wanted in any of the rooms. Whose is the best?
Mine.
Of course, yours is the best. I went ahead and glued these together to make one full built-in piece, you know, for the aesthetic. All right, I know for sure somebody right now is bothered that I'm using laser engraving and 3D printing to make accessories and furniture. So I'm gonna get back into the shop and I'm gonna make the master bed out of wood and hand tools. And just a side note, most of the time locally there is somebody available to you to do laser engraving and 3D printing. So if you gather up all of your files, I'm sure you can find somebody to do that work for you. Headboard, ta-da! Okay, now it's a headboard. Just a little Easter egg if you've been watching this channel for a long time. This headboard was made to emulate the headboard I made for my wife and I several years ago. I think this is probably like one of the last things that is going into this dollhouse. I'm gonna make this into a chalkboard with some chalkboard paint for the kids' room wall. As you walk into this dollhouse, you'll see a nice greeting on the front door, a coat rack with a scarf and a jacket, and benches beneath that for your shoes. After that, when you get to the living room, you'll see a large flat screen TV which has interchangeable cards, so you can go from the main menu screen to playing Minecraft or to watching the Reformation Woodshop on YouTube. Obviously, you need a gaming console, and I 3D printed this PlayStation 2, which is one of my favorite things that came off the 3D printer. All that was left to do was to stage the living room with the furniture that we got from Hobby Lobby, the coffee table that I 3D printed with board games included, and now we had a perfect space for relaxation. After that, moving over to the kitchen, we have spaces for all of our pots and pans. We have countertop space for appliances. We have a fridge that fully opens and is stocked with food. There's a windowsill above the farmhouse sink, perfect for plants. A carpet and kitchen table that is eerily similar to the one that's in my house, which is awesome. Modern chairs and all the food the family could ever need. Moving on to the bathroom, it's simple. Obviously, you need toilet paper, toothbrushes, and a little space to mark your height for as you grow. For the nursery, we made this cool little baby name sign that looks like it came off of a scroll saw. My wife made another carpet with some spare fabric that she had, and then we just stocked it full of baby furniture. Again, we have another carpet in the kids' room, 4 beds. This room is stocked full of playground equipment. And then the coolest portion of this room, I sized this mini cabinet to fit these mini Funkos because every kid's room needs a cool collection of superhero stuff. Add in a chalkboard to take up some of the wall space, and this room is complete. For the master bedroom, we went simple with everything except for I added a sliding glass door to the balcony. That way mom and dad have a nice view, and when they're out on their rocking chair, they get absolute relaxation. Moving on to the patio and lawn section of this dollhouse, we made this space a nice little relaxation zone where you can grill with the family or shoot a little hoops if that's what you're into. A dollhouse that imitates our life would not be complete without a craft room. This is where all of the cool stuff is made. We've got floating shelves on the walls that hold extra fabric. We've got a painting table, we've got a desk with a laptop and a 3D printer. And we've got this cool little IKEA storage on the wall that holds your fabric scissors and your rulers. Inside of the attic is kind of like a man cave type area. We've got space for soccer. I even 3D printed an electric and acoustic guitar so you can have a jam session up there, darts, and playing cards. So this dollhouse is actually kind of gender neutral.
What are you doing? I am Batman.